Ever since the announcement regarding the brand new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 coming out as a standalone title to the current Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 last week, the community has been, well, quite outspoken about the topic. Though the community has been largely excited about the next generation of flight simulation, several people have also expressed reservations regarding this new iteration of the simulator. Will the sim be overly gamified? Will everything from the current sim transfer over to the other? Will it be free? Will third-party developers charge us for everything all over again? Questions. Well, we did receive an answer for a good amount of these questions from Microsoft themselves, which was further supplemented by third-party developers such as PMDG as well as Airsoft about how their products will make their way into the new simulator. Now, I did make a full video on this topic, which is linked down below the like button, which you can check out after watching this one. In today's video, therefore, we're going to try and create the most ideal simulator where mostly all consumer needs are met while still grounding the list in reality. So keep in mind that some of this wish list's parameters are quite idealistic and are likely not to come to fruition, but that's why we call it a wish list and not a changelog. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and welcome to the ultimate Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 wishlist. What is going on, guys? Varun from Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, right before we get started on our wishlist today, I do have to say that the channel is extremely close to 20,000 subscribers, a massive milestone. So if you enjoy what you see, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell icon. It means a lot, truly. And finally, right before getting into the meat of things, a quick note from our sponsor for today's video. Now, long-term viewers of the channel might know that I'm not much of a bush pilot or GA aircraft flyer. I love flying large airliners, which usually involves long periods of time where I put the plane on cruise and just kind of sit there. So instead of rotting in front of my monitor for hours on end, I prefer to go out and do things, whether it may be a run, doing my laundry, enjoying a meal outside, but there's always that lingering feeling about how my flight is doing, whether it's all peaceful or if I'm in an uncontrolled nosedive about to kill all of my passengers. Well, with today's sponsor, Asun Remote, you don't have to worry anymore. Asun is a free-to-download application software from macOS, Windows, and Android that allows you to remotely control your PC using your phone. As can be seen here, I can monitor my flight, control the cameras, and even move things around as needed without having to be anywhere near my monitor. And this doesn't just work for games. As a content creator, I get great peace of mind when I can monitor the status of my video being rendered on my editing software, and having the ability to upload videos to YouTube without physically being at my desk or computer is an absolute godsend. The app does allow keyboard customization as well as mouse support, and can also support games up to 144 FPS. So log on to the link in the description section of the video to see all of their expanded payment plans, including a pluggable device that can wake up your PC remotely. Once again, that's Asun Remote, and you can find out more by clicking on the link in the description section of the video. Getting into the meat of the video then, let's talk about the first item on my wish list, the price. Now, it goes without saying that since this will be a standalone title, we're expecting a reasonable price for the sim. It's hard to estimate exactly what the price should be, since it would be up to the devs and would take into account how much of an upgrade Flight Simulator 2024 really is, along with external factors such as inflation, but I would expect it to be a reasonable price to be on this wish list. Now, according to current day speculation, largely by the community on various Facebook forums I've been part of, people believe that the new sim will also be released via 3 different editions, just like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 did back in the day, those being the Standard, Deluxe, and Premium Deluxe versions. If this is indeed the case with the new simulator as well, I also sincerely wish that those that did purchase Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in any capacity would have discounts applied to purchase the newer version. I would also realistically expect Microsoft to provide larger discounts to those of us that purchase the Premium Deluxe version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and for those discounts to lower with every tier version of the simulator you purchased. Next up, getting the price logistics out of the way, let's talk about the potential new benefits the new engine will bring. Now, for those that don't know, the current Flight Simulator 2020 is built on the Microsoft Flight Simulator World engine, while the newer one aims to take advantage of Asobo's proprietary engine. Now, Asobo is known not just for Microsoft Flight Simulator, but also famous games such as the Plague Tale series, known for its vast visual fidelity. As a result, if this sim also runs on the same engine, I would wish for improved graphical fidelity. Specifically, I would hope for things such as shadows and anisotropic filtering, plus the level of detail and immersion factors such as the various canopy distributions and close-range vegetation we see within the sim to be fixed and or improved from the current version of Flight Simulator. As a consequence of the newer engine, another one of my wishes would also be to see a vastly better performing simulator. We know from the current version that the sim is heavily CPU limited, and despite people like me having RTX 4090s and so on, certain situations are still very difficult to render and maintain immersion with, so it's almost hard to imagine what other people go through who don't have RTX 4090s and the higher end graphics cards. I hope these will see significant optimizations in the future, along with better DirectX 12 support from the get-go, which, as you might know, is currently still in beta. Hopefully, Microsoft can use the time remaining before the new sim releases to hone the performance and provide us with a robust platform to work with going into the future. Next up then, let's talk about truly leveling up Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and make Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 truly next generation. Now, the current version of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 uses Black Shark AI to generate 3D objects using available satellite imagery, and it works great, but I do wish for the next generation to be even better and more advanced. We've already seen things like the Google Maps freeware mod popping up, which has in many ways improved the overall ground mesh colors and look of the terrain. I'm sure Bing Maps, what currently Flight Simulator uses, has also had updates to its satellite data from the version we're used to in the current version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I hope therefore that Asobo and Microsoft can harness this potential. Microsoft has also made several world updates and city updates during the life cycle of the current sim, so I hope all of these are integrated and improved for the next generation. Next up then, something I've seen a lot of the community talking about or wishing for is a true career mode. Instead of just isolated missions that we've seen in the trailer, having skill trees, having progression systems, having a plethora of missions all tied into these progression systems, with the modding community working hard in the background to making these processes even more comprehensive, would be absolutely fantastic. I know it's extremely gamified at this level, and that would be the opinion of a lot of people who are serious simmers, but that isn't to say that the sim wouldn't be absolutely more fun for a lot of people to play around with. Besides, the whole marketing for the simulator so far has been to allow people to live out their dream aviation career, and it would be a very nice touch if people got to experience the various aspects of the career in a sequential, progressive way rather than doing it randomly. Of course, I would still recommend leaving the traditional aspects of the sim to people who wish to continue to use that, but adding functionality, whatever it might be, while still keeping serious simmers at the core and ethos of every business decision is never a bad thing. Besides, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 will always continue getting updates anyway. Microsoft have confirmed this, and if somebody doesn't like the Flight Simulator 2024 gamified version, you can simply jump back to the older simulator as well. It's always going to be good. Next up then, let's talk about sky colors and more cloud types. Now, many might argue that this point is completely ludicrous. Everything is perfect and nothing needs to be changed in this department, since Microsoft Flight Simulator is so far beyond any other recreational flight sim we've ever had before. And I completely agree with you guys, but it can be better. The sky colors during the evening or morning, as well as at night when there's a certain amount of moonlight, seem particularly unrealistic, with various pink, purple, and sharp orange hues emanating from all directions of the sky. Now sure, this is possible in real life, but it isn't always like this, and I would like to see a little bit of variety being injected into the simulator, so every one of my evening/morning/nighttime approaches looks a little bit different. It's not that hard to do, especially with current day gaming technologies, so I would really like for Asobo and Microsoft to incorporate this in the new simulator. The same thing goes with clouds. I know it's hard to completely rewrite the cloud engine because it takes a lot of effort, especially when it's been made from the ground up, but some active sky texture packs from X-Plane and P3D, though 2D and not volumetric like Microsoft Flight Simulators, did represent large, wispy cumulonimbus clouds much better in my opinion. The clouds in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 again do look a little like cotton candy, though I have to say that if the clouds are not addressed in the next sim whatsoever, I won't be the least bit disappointed. The other things on this list deserve way more recognition first, but I would be lying if I said it doesn't leave a little bit to be desired. Going from the sky colors and the clouds, next thing I would like to be improved is weather generation, as well as the API for this weather generation to be provided to various third-party developers. Now, weather generation has been alluded to in the trailer as well, including several tornadoes and other weather phenomenon seen as well. Now, there's been several times I've really wanted to chase hurricanes and storms in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I want to see the full extent of these weather events in the new platform, especially since things like smog and tornadoes and such have already been showcased in the new Sims trailer and already look better represented. Additionally, I want day one support for the weather and turbulence radar and for the API or SDK tools to be made available to third-party developers. This obviously increases immersion and is something we have lacked for quite some time now in the current version of the simulator. I do feel that this will likely make its way to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 itself before too long, since it's been on the community wishlist for quite some time, but of course if it doesn't come to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, I just thought I'd add it to this wishlist nonetheless so it at least makes its way towards Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Next up then, a better asset library. Now, this might seem quite self-explanatory, but I definitely feel that having a comprehensive first-party library of sim assets for scenery building and mods and missions and so on will be quite nice. Several missions shown in the trailer as well as various failure-based scenarios would be absolutely awesome because Microsoft and Asobo themselves are providing people with the tools to be able to create such scenarios. Now, we've already seen some good signs of this in the new simulators trailer, including things such as stretchers and transformers and ropes and oil rigs and mechanics and so on, and I would just like it to be hashed out and perfectly illustrated in the new simulator. Next up then, let's talk about another logistical item quite like the price: easy and free transfer of all add-ons from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 to the new platform. Now, this will likely be on developers for the most part and nothing Microsoft or Asobo can do themselves, but nonetheless, this is still going to be on my wish list because, well, I wish it does come from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I, like many, have spent tons on this sim and wouldn't like to even pay $10 extra for the add-ons if they do get updated for the next sim, unless of course the updates are extremely substantial. As mentioned towards the beginning of the video, Asobo as well as several other developers have already promised us this to a certain extent. They haven't really spoken about the free transfer of their add-ons, but they have said that their add-ons should be made compatible towards Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 as well. Next up then, for my friends on Xbox, though WASM support has recently been provided to various developers so that they can port their PC add-ons over to Xbox, hopefully more aircraft, sceneries, add-ons, and so on are available for the console platform at launch. I know they're currently still suffering, though the PMDG aircraft, for example, have made it to the console. I would love it if Asobo and Microsoft worked with these developers on the back end to ensure ample support is present on launch with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. The same thing that happened with these console users with the current simulator can't happen with the next generation as well. They've waited far too long without much in the way of complex airliners or aircraft. Finally then, the last thing on my wish list would be better support for VR as well as multi-monitor cockpit builders. Now, I personally don't know too much about this. I sim on a flat 2D panel, but on many Facebook forums I've been part of, I can see this all the time. People are very passionate about building their own home cockpits and really running Microsoft Flight Simulator on them, and for my friends trying to accomplish these massive feats, you can't really expect these guys to switch from any other simulator to yours if these things are not addressed. So of course, VR support, VR performance, as well as multi-monitor cockpit support would be prudent. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our ultimate Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 wish list. Of course, this list is not exhaustive, so I would like to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What are some of the things that you would like to see in the new simulator as well, knowing now that it's going to be a complete standalone title? I also am not opposed to making a part 2 to this video. I had so many thoughts in my head, but for the sake of brevity and for the sake of keeping things short and concise, I did try to boil down to these points. Of course, not opposed to making a part 2, so let me know down in the comment section if you would like to see that as well. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like. Again, we're pretty close to 20k subscribers, so a subscription to the channel would be much appreciated as well. With that all said, guys, thanks for watching and thanks for flying by.